Hello, my name is Jesse Meekum with another episode of The Jesse Meekum Show, and I'm here each week to obsess out loud about spending purposefully, aspirationally, joyfully, spendfully. It all comes down to just giving every dollar a job. I have spent the last 20 plus years figuring this out, and actually, it started before I even started the business. The original rules weren't even rules. It was just a little spreadsheet that I built. And I wanted to kind of give you a bit of a behind the scenes today, a bit of a journey story. And if you find it interesting, great. But I'm going to drive home kind of the main point, and that is what I start the show and end the show with every time: the importance of giving every dollar a job. And that's this little story, hopefully kept fairly tight, will highlight why that is so important. Julie and I got married super young, just starting college for me, and I was just turned 22. And we were, poor college students, but totally loving life, loving each other, but not really doing great on the money front. And I thought it'd be a good idea to build a little spreadsheet to help us track our meager finances. And that's exactly what I did. And you could probably go online and find it in like the Wayback Machine and things. It was a sight to be seen. And about a year went by, and we were doing well. We were actually able to save some money, kind of scratch together some stuff. Julie was working full time in the highly lucrative field of social work. That is said with sarcasm. And we wanted to have a baby. And when that baby arrived, we wanted Julie to be able to step out of the workforce and just focus on being a mom for the first time. Wouldn't be the last time. So with her income loss looming and I still had 2 years of school left, I did not want to borrow money. That was a non-negotiable. So I had this little idea that I thought, well, this spreadsheet that we've built for just the two of us, maybe we could sell it to other people. And that's what I did. I kind of refined it a little bit and put it out to the world and said, hey, buy this spreadsheet for $20. Originally 10, no one buys anything for $10, so it had to be 20. And people bought it a little bit at a time. Very first transaction was a refund because the customer, this woman, was using a Mac and I didn't know what that computer was. Anyway, that is, it didn't sell very much at all. Very, very little bit. And about 6 months in, I realized that the spreadsheet was kind of enforcing these rules, these ways of thinking about our money. And so I named them. And the very first phrasings of them were, and I'm not saying they were good, but these were the first ones, was it's all about timing, operate zero-based, save for a rainy day, and mistakes happen. Pay yourself back. So that's kind of anyway, you can see they needed some work. But we ran with that for a little while. And as soon as I launched the rules, the sales started picking up because you're giving people a why. Why does this work? And as they started to think about their money in that way and not just seeing it as this to-do, as this chore on a spreadsheet, it started working pretty well, even though it was still a spreadsheet. So fast forward a little bit, we got rid of the spreadsheet, we started with software, and on the tech side, it's just evolved, and it will continue to evolve. Who knows where YNAB will go technologically? But as far as the principles, I feel like we've gone almost the opposite direction, where we've just continually refined how we teach this YNAB method. And we realized with the latest iteration of the rules that we've just recently replaced, we told everyone to give every dollar a job, save for a rainy day. We called it embracing your true expenses. That was the old rule. Embrace your true expenses, roll with the punches. And my mind is even blanking now because I'm so used to our new framing. But we had a lot of the same, age your money, sorry. So we had a lot of the same ideas still in these rules, but maybe they were phrased more for marketing and a little catchier. And if you examine each rule individually, and I've talked about this in the past, you realize that each rule is just that first rule: give every dollar a job. So when we talk about giving every dollar a job, that's everything. And so then when you say, well, embrace your true expenses, what we're really talking about is our now question number 2, where you're just saying, well, what large or less frequent expenses should you prepare for? That's just giving every dollar a job with that new lens of large or less frequent expenses. And then, we then had this idea of age your money as a rule 4, but now we're also saying like, what could you set aside for next month? And so we're kind of forcing that in a little more aggressively, a little more intentionally, with a little more opinion. Because when you start to build margin for yourself by funding that next month's needs a little bit, not only are you looking at large or less frequent expenses, but just the next month in particular, you're kind of saying that's a separate job for the money. Then what happens is you're giving yourself some margin. And we know over time in working with, gosh, 1 million, 2 million people at this point, that margin really improves decision-making. And giving every dollar a job is simply a decision-making principle, framework. And so as we've moved to these questions, it's really about just helping people implement the core principle of giving every dollar a job more effectively. It's also helped us to teach it more effectively. We've seen learning happen faster than we would have, than we've seen historically. We've seen the learning curve of like trying to grok like what exactly is the YNAB method, these 4 rules, and we're like, whoa, it's just one rule, give every dollar a job. Now work through these 5 questions that are kind of like different glasses you put on to do the same task and answer that same question, but through those different lenses. What happens is these scarce, precious, unbelievably precious resources of money start to, you start to kind of realize what you need them to do as you answer those different questions with the different glasses, and you start to feel the joyousness of scarcity and the clarity that comes from that, because you're recognizing, oh, this is what I really need, while also recognizing this is what or who I really am. And when the who of you and the how of the spending start to line up, joyful, just absolutely joyful. That's living spendfully. So this has been, it's been an evolution, a 20-year evolution to get there. I never would have thought it would have landed here after just kind of scratching those into a website and noticing that the spreadsheet had enforced these rules. Julie and I didn't start out by saying, hey, this is how we have these rules. We built the spreadsheet. We noticed some problems. We noticed that we got caught off guard by large expenses. So we started to say, hey, we got to be ready for that one next time. We noticed that we would overspend, and we're like, how do we deal with overspending and not have all the other categories kind of lie to us about what they have in them if we've really spent from them? And so that was where, is that whole pay yourself back thing that ends up just being roll with the punches. The old rule 3, which is now question 5, if you're following along or doing some kind of like a detective chart on a pinboard. At the end of the day, though, giving every dollar a job is everything. And the way you do that is by working these 5 questions. As you do that, you know yourself better. Your spending gets more and more aligned with that known self. You feel more spendful. No more second guessing. No more having your spending be something that you regret, even in minuscule amounts every time. No more low dosing of regret with spending. No micro dosing of that. No homeopathic dosing of regretful spending. We want you to love it. We want you to love how you spend your money. You do that by giving every dollar a job.